Transcript of the Chinese Exclusion Act, 1882, an act to execute certain treaty stipulations relating to Chinese, abridged by James Couture. Whereas, in the opinion of the government of the United States, the coming of Chinese laborers to this country endangers the good order of certain localities within the territories thereof, therefore, be it enacted by the Congress that, after the expiration of 90 days after the passage of this act, and until the expiration of 10 years next after the passage of this act, the coming of Chinese laborers to the United States be suspended, and during such suspension it shall not be lawful for any Chinese laborer to come, or having so come after the expiration of said 90 days, to remain within the United States. Section 2. That the master of any vessel who shall knowingly bring within the United States on such vessel, and land or permit to be landed, any Chinese laborer from any port or place, shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and, on conviction thereof, shall be punished by a fine of not more than $500 for each and every such Chinese laborer so brought, and may also be imprisoned for a term not exceeding 1 year. Section 3. That the two foregoing sections shall not apply to Chinese laborers who were in the United States on November 17, 1880, and who shall produce to such master before going on board such vessel, and shall produce to the collector of the port in the United States at which such vessel shall arrive, the evidence hereinafter in this act, required of his being one of the laborers in this section mentioned. Nor shall the two foregoing sections apply to the case of any master whose vessel, being bound to a port not within the United States, shall come within the jurisdiction of the United States by reason of being in distress or in stress of weather, provided that all Chinese laborers brought on such vessels shall depart with the vessel on leaving port. Section 4. That for the purpose of properly identifying Chinese laborers who were in the United States on November 17, 1880, or who shall have come before the expiration of 90 days next after the passage of this act, and in order to furnish them with the proper evidence of their right to go from and come to the United States of their free will and accord, make a list of all such Chinese laborers, in which shall be stated the name, age, occupation, last place of residence, physical marks of peculiarities, and all facts necessary for the identification of each of such Chinese laborers, which books shall be safely kept in the custom house. And every such Chinese laborer so departing from the United States shall be entitled to, free of any charge, a certificate signed by the collector or his deputy and attested by his seal of office. Section 6. Every Chinese person other than a laborer who may be entitled by treaty to this act to come within the United States shall be identified as so entitled by the Chinese government in each case, such identity to be evidenced by a certificate issued under the authority of said government, which certificate shall be in the English language, or, if not in the English language, accompanied by a translation into English, stating such right to come, and which certificates shall state the name, title, or official rank, if any, the age, height, and all physical peculiarities, former and present occupation or profession, and place of residence in China of the person to whom the certificate is issued, and that such person is entitled. Section 7. That any person who shall knowingly and falsely alter or substitute any name for the name written in such certificate, or forge any such certificate, or falsely personate any person named in any such certificate, shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall be fined in a sum not exceeding $1,000, and imprisoned in a penitentiary for a term of not more than 5 years. Section 7. That any person who shall knowingly bring into or cause to be brought into the United States by land, or who shall knowingly aid or abet the same, or aid or abet the landing in the United States from any vessel of any Chinese person not lawfully entitled to enter the United States, shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and shall, on conviction thereof, be fined in a sum not exceeding $1,000, and imprisoned for a term not exceeding 1 year. Section 12. That no Chinese person shall be permitted to enter the United States by land without producing to the proper official of customs the certificate in this act required of Chinese persons seeking to land from a vessel. And any Chinese person found unlawfully within the United States shall be caused to be removed therefrom to the country from whence he came, by direction of the President of the United States, and at the cost of the United States, after being brought before some justice, judge, or commissioner of a court of the United States, and found to be one not lawfully entitled to be or remain in the United States. Section 13, that this act shall not apply to diplomatic and other officers of the Chinese government traveling upon the business of that government, whose credentials shall be taken as equivalent to the certificate in this act mentioned, and shall exempt them and their body and household servants from the provisions of this act as to other Chinese persons. Section 14, that hereafter no state or court of the United States shall admit Chinese to citizenship, and all laws in conflict with this act are hereby repealed. Section 15, that the words Chinese laborers, wherever used in this act, shall be construed to mean both skilled and unskilled laborers and Chinese employed in mining. Approved May 6, 1882.